Maravilha, maravilha, pessoal. Hi, Dr. Jena. You are in mute.
Hello.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Oh, now I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I can't hear you for some reason now.
Okay, now it's perfect. How are you doing today? Good?
Let me see.
Can you hear me?
How about now?
I can hear you.
There we go, I hear you. I'm like, geez, here we go.
I love these few seconds. People start to freak out.
Right? I'm like, no.
Very good. My dear, did you see the interpretation button below?
Let's see.
Looks like a global.
Yes. Yes.
Press there and choose English. Okay. You run the whole presentation in Portuguese.
Yes.
And our team, you do their magic.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay. Pessoal, vamos recomeçar. Jena, está me ouvindo agora? Está bem?
Yes.
Se eu falar para você que eu vejo um mini band atrás de você, você consegue ver um mini band?
This is my house.
Uau! Perfeito, perfeito.
I'm committed.
Maravilha, maravilha. Ok, pessoal, vamos aqui finalmente fechar esse primeiro dia. E quando eu digo finalmente, eu digo no sentido de que a gente está o dia inteiro, né, investindo em educação, investindo em conhecimento, mas eu tenho certeza que se tivesse mais 2 ou 3 palestras, as pessoas ainda iriam ficar um pouquinho mais, né? Então esse finalmente é com um gostinho de quero mais, queria mais, e vou fechar com chave de ouro. Nós iremos fechar com chave de ouro. Vou fazer uma rápida apresentação sobre a doutora Jena. Jena é atleta, modelo, fisioterapeuta, treinadora de força, terapeuta manual, especialista em exercícios corretivos, palestrante, autora e professora. Com mais de 15 anos de experiência trabalhando com atletas de elite na indústria do fitness, ela vem atuando com celebridades, atletas profissionais, CEOs, atletas da Liga de Futebol Americana, atletas olímpicos, atletas da Liga de Beisebol, do UFC, lutadores de boxe profissionais, levantamentos de peso olímpico profissionais e atletas de atletismo, atletas de maratona, Ironman, rugby, idosos, população jovem. Que currículo impressionante! É realmente um absurdo a variabilidade de pessoas que ela consegue atender. Quando estive pela primeira vez numa apresentação da Jena no Perform Better, as pessoas perguntaram: você não conhece a Jena? Você não conhece a Jena? Eu falei não, e me senti um peixe fora do aquário, porque eu não conhecia a Jena até então. Quando eu vi a apresentação dela com sala cheia, eu falei, bom, deve ter alguma coisa interessante aqui. Temos a honra de poder ter ela aqui para poder compartilhar um pouquinho da sua experiência com o povo brasileiro, compartilhar um pouquinho do que ela faz, e não só pensando em treinamento, mas agregando a visão de tratamento e de treinamento. Jena, é um prazer enorme ter você conosco. Muito obrigado pela sua presença.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me. I love that I'm here right now. I'm excited that you guys still had this going on. I wish I could be in Brazil right now, but I will take this. So let's start. I'm going to share my screen. You want to make me a host?
Yes.
I'm going to share my screen with you guys.
Você tem o poder agora aí nas telas.
Perfect. Okay.
Perfeito. Está funcionando.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Jena Gatses. That was quite an introduction. I just care a lot about the human body, and I like to explore everything about it so that I can understand what I'm treating and why I should be treating it. I'd like to use science to enhance performance, enhance movement, enhance personalities, anything that I can do to just learn about the body and how it works to make it better. So the introduction said it all, but a little bit about things that he did not talk about were the Alzheimer's ward, things like that. I worked with a lot of end stage of life. Professional athletes is great because you can get them beyond where you think they could be, but end stage of life really shows you, it's unbelievable where the body goes. So, you know, from falls to reduction in balance and just things with memory and nutrition and autoimmune disease and things where habits in your life can change the outcome of your life. So just really focusing on the entire person and all the variables in their life that you can control so that you can make them better. And, you know, there's so much controversy with different things and you don't know where to go, what to do, but just really coming back to caring about the whole person. That, because, you know, it shouldn't be money as your number one motive. It should be the person, because that's why we got into this industry. We care about people. So it's important that you really care about the people that you treat and that you work with, because that's going to translate and that's going to make them feel that you care, and they're going to feel better in their nervous system, and they're going to do better with the sessions that you have. So my whole thing is just make an impact, make a difference, challenge people to be better, challenge yourself to be better. So, you know, there's a lot of people that just follow the herd and follow what everyone else is doing. So you might see some recovery methods that you're not too sure about. And it's like everyone's a scientist. People are, you know, putting fish on their feet and leeches on their faces. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So, you know, do these things even work, or are we just insane and just want to do something that's the next big thing? So it's not about the next big thing. It's about what works. And to tell you the truth, in this picture, two of these do work, and one of them is not so researched. So there's a lot of research behind the blood cupping. I know it's not legal in every country, but it's interesting to see, you know, because there's a lot of controversy around cupping by itself. People say cupping doesn't work. I love cupping. I never use cupping by itself, but it's one of my most used tools. It helps me calm down the tissue before and after I do myofascial work. So to just like say an absolute of, hey, that doesn't work, that's just ridiculous, because every single situation is different. So if anyone tells you an absolute, this doesn't work, they can't do that, they won't do that, like it can't happen like that. It's individual basis and it's a daily basis. So everything's constantly changing with the body. The stressors, the physiological things, the emotional things are constantly changing with your patients and with your clients. So if you're not assessing them all the time, asking them what's going on in their lives, they could be regressing in your training through variables that you didn't even realize were happening, and you can actually control them and change. So, you know, just because everyone's jumping on board, don't always think that you have to just do what everyone else does. I work with a lot of pro boxers, and, you know, they're always talking about, I have to go to cryo, I have to go to cryo. And, you know, they barely sleep or they're not eating enough. And I'm like, oh, yes.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
I know you. I know how you are excited to talk and talk. Can I ask you a little favor?
Yes.
Can you just reduce a little bit your speed, because our team translating can do a better job for the audience. So I'm so sorry to.
No, it's okay. It's
I don't
okay.
like to stop the speaker. I like the intention and or whatever. Sorry about that.
Okay. Should I shorten the words a little bit too?
No, you just can reduce the speed. Just
Okay.
reduce the speed.
Okay.
Sorry about that, Dr.
No,
Jena.
it's okay. I want everyone to learn. So if anyone has questions, or if I'm going too fast, just let me know, and we can always go back to things, or I can explain things further. So today we're going to discuss a little bit about homeostasis. So the body's internal environment and how the body controls that internal environment, the integrative approach to treatment and to coaching people, to personal training, and then the best methods of recovery for your person at every session. So each person is different at every single session. So taking that into consideration is very important. So a little bit about the physiology and the biology, but then understanding how to integrate that into what you're doing. So how do you know if recovery is needed? How do you know what is needed? You have to understand what's going on and what you're doing, because everything is constantly changing. The mode of your exercise is changing. The environment is changing. The temperature is changing. So if you're prescribing a one-size-fits-all approach to everything, then those changing variables aren't going to fit within that approach. So everything has to constantly be assessed, understood, and then taken back so that you can actually move forward with the right steps for your person. So what is recovery? Recovery is basically our environment of our body. So getting back to normal. Our body, just think about an environment, like the inside of our body is an environment. So if you're stressed out all the time, if you're always sad, if you're always running around, drinking coffee, doing things that are stressing you out, your body's internal environment and your nervous system is going to be very heightened. So as far as pain presentation, with a heightened nervous system, pain presents more extreme when your nervous system is heightened. So, something that wouldn't hurt you regularly could possibly start to hurt you. So you talk to your people and they're like, oh, I have this back pain, or I can't do this. And they're very extreme with their answers, or they're very dramatic. They might not even realize they're doing that, but it's their internal environment that's heightened. So all the other stimulus that are coming at them are making them even more frightened. So there's too many stimuli, and their body looks at that as like a threat. So then that threat is trying to be controlled through the mechanisms internally. And so homeostasis is our body's stable internal environment. So it's basically our neutral, just like range of motion is neutral anatomical position. Our homeostasis internally is our stable environment, and that's how we start, and that's how we want to start. If you start an exercise where you're very heightened, or your system, and you're stressed out, or you're emotional, if you start there and then you have someone do extreme exercises, that could help, or that could make them regress versus progress in your program. So again, taking the person and everything that's going on in their lives into consideration, it's going to help you understand how to get them individually back to homeostasis so that they can function correctly in life. Because homeostasis is all about surviving. The brain, the spinal cord, everything, your body's trying to survive in life. So if your body feels threatened, it's going to do whatever it can to get rid of that threat. And how it does that is through feedback mechanisms. So there's positive and negative feedback mechanisms. Negative is bringing you back to homeostasis, and positive feedback mechanisms are causing you to go further away from homeostasis. And I'll give you a couple examples of each. So say there's a stimulus, there's a hot stove and you put your hand on it, your brain, your receptor receives that stimulus and it's like, hey, that's hot, sends it to the control center, which is your brain, and your brain decides, hey, I need to get my hand off of the stove. So that's how your body understands what to do. So it stimulated the motor response to lift your hand off of the stove. So our bodies are so complex and so unique. It's so interesting. But if we understand these innate behaviors, we can change things in our performance. And it's all about just understanding the human body as a whole. So sweating is another negative feedback mechanism. The body is hot and your heart rate will start to elevate. And so your body will the brain will be like, hey, I need to vasodilate and make them sweat. The sweat glands are activated. The water comes down your face. And so when the water is evaporated, the heat leaves with the evaporation. So that's how your body gets rid of heat. And it's really interesting just understanding the main mechanisms of how the body functions can help you be better with everything that you're doing, whether it's recovery or performance. And a positive feedback mechanism is one that gets you further away from homeostasis. So it sees that threat and it gets you further away. So examples of that are pregnancy. Obviously, if the baby's taking all your nutrients, you have to let the baby take all your nutrients so it can survive. But if it has to do that. If you take the nutrients away, then the baby can't survive. So that's moving your body away from that homeostasis, but the body understands that's for the baby and that's how it's going to live. And then blood clots. So if you get cut, your body's like, hey, reduction in blood pressure, I need to pump more blood. That would make you bleed out. So with blood clots, the brain's like, hey, no, we're going to bleed out. I need to send clotting factors down there, and it's going to clot the blood to prevent the bleeding. So the body's really just unique in the fact that it can do so many things, and it senses things through these little receptors, and everything that we do plays a part in that. And so your mind is powerful. Your mind controls every aspect of everything that you do, and your sensors and your receptors. And so your brain and spinal cord are constantly talking to one another. They're trying to figure out what's going on. What is the stimulus? What's happening? How can I get out of here? Or how can I make this better? And so you want to keep your brain functioning correctly by making sure that you're getting back to homeostasis completely. If you're always constantly getting further and further away with exercise by stressing your system out and not reverting back to the parasympathetic state, then all of your system in a sympathetic state are heightened and your body's in an imbalance. And that imbalance can turn out into mood changes, cognitive changes, hormone changes, the way someone thinks, the way someone feels, the way someone learns. So say that you're stressed out or you didn't sleep well, then you can't learn as well as you could if you did have sleep. So, you could be yelling at one of your athletes or one of your coaches or one of your students or anything, just a client. And, you think he's not listening to you. You think he's disrespecting you, but it could be just a sleep deprivation. His brain just doesn't understand how to operate at that moment. So just understanding your person as a whole. And I know I preach that a lot because you should care about the whole person. You're going to get so much further down, like with every single patient, with every single client, if you actually take their entire life into consideration, because your brain is so powerful. And so with the central governor method, basically your brain is the hub. The brain just tells you what to do, where to go, what to do next. And so everything is a stimulus coming in and the brain decides what to do. So if you look at the different things that could change the outcome of the brain's decision, it could be the prior level of experience with an exercise. It could be if it's hot outside. It could be if it's cold outside, if the person just broke up with their boyfriend. So even placebos. So placebos have a positive effect on the athlete's performance. So it's unbelievable. If you think it's going to work, it's going to work. So people are like, should I do this or should I do that? And I'm like, do you believe in it? And they're like, yes. I'm like, then do it. If it's something that's not going to hurt them, then why not do it? And especially with research, our research is very limited. It's unbelievable how limited our research is in our field. So in grad school, because I did massage therapy and I did exercise science and I was working with pro athletes before school. So I already had all this experience working with people and I saw the benefit of massage and how it can help people in manual therapy. And all the kids in my class are like, oh, there's no research article on that. I'm not doing it. And I can't believe you would do that when there's no research article on there. And I'm like, go ahead and sit there and wait for that research article to come out. I'm going to be treating people and helping people. So you have to take research into consideration and be safe, but also realize how limited our field is. Our field is so limited, and to withhold things from people that could help them that aren't gonna hurt them, I just don't understand that. So if you think about the drug commercials or the prescription commercials where they're like, side effects, this, death, this, the side effect is death, like for a pill. Why are you taking that pill? And, but cupping is not good. I don't quite understand that. So when you think about it that way, you realize that, we have a lot more power over our own health than we think, so you have to understand what's going on and what impact you can actually make, because you can change people's lives with just the simple things of what we already know, not thinking about the next best thing or what's the new fad, because fads are just to create hype. So that people are like, ooh, what's that? And, it's to cause things on social media to elevate in views. And that's not what we're about. We're about really changing what's actually happening with people, because we actually care about people. So, we're not in the marketing business. We're really bad marketers, actually. I'm horrible. I just heard someone talk. And so again, okay, I was like, oh wait, what's happening? And so if you, again, the integrative approach, caring about the entire person, so important to care about the entire person. So it's crucial to their success and your success. Again, your message will not get across if they're going through something in their life that you don't know about if you don't ask them. So how do you know? How do you know what to do? How do you know where to go? How do you know what performance methods to choose? You have to assess. So hopefully, every single time your client comes in or every single time your athletes come in, you say, we need to assess. How do you feel? How much sleep did you get? How do you, how's your relationship? Are you stressed out? So in NASCAR, we had the longest season in pro sports. It was 8 months, or no, I'm sorry, it was 10 months traveling every single weekend and 2 months off season. So just think about that. Every single weekend, we had our own airplanes. We would fly to a different state. I was in charge. I was the head coach for 6 NASCAR teams. So it was 6 guys to a team for the pit crew, and then the driver. So I had so many people to take care of. I was the only therapist, the only strength coach. So, I got to do these little scientific experiments all the time because I had to do whatever I could and control whatever variable I could in order to get these guys to stay healthy. So, the demand on their body, the physiological demand was intense through NASCAR. And so in order to make sure that they weren't going to overtrain, I had to get them back to homeostasis sooner than later. And so that's where assessing and making sure I understand what's going on and I control the variables I can, making sure that they're sleeping. I made them wear compression on the airplane. Those little things, people act like they're not a big deal. Those little things add up. So little daily habits create the successful person, create the successful athlete. So you think it's a one size fits all or a one method that's going to make you the best. It's not. It's the little details every single day and practicing the foundation of what we already know. So again, I was caught up in this too when I was younger and going through, because there's so many things, so many people telling you this is wrong, that is right, and this is wrong. Find out for yourself. So you want to actually care about what people are saying, but you want to know for your own self. You should learn how to research. So a lot of people don't know how to research. People give me the people write on my social media, oh, that doesn't work, this doesn't work, keyboard warriors. I love them. Come on, let's talk about it. I love it. You should be able to talk to people about things. But I ask them about their facts, and they give me facts from menshealth.com. Men's Health is great, don't get me wrong, but you have to be able to give me a credible source. A credible source has to do with research. So not a lot of people know about research. They don't know about the hierarchy of evidence. In order to understand that, look at this chart here. So I will only do research with things that are on this list. And usually I update my research within 5 to 10 years, just because research is constantly changing. So if you're going to tell me that a fact is a fact, it cannot come from Google. It cannot come from Men's Health or whatever magazine that people like, or someone's Instagram. If you don't know it's a fact from scientists that had a controlled study that was basically every little variable was taken into consideration and monitored, and the feedback was given, I will not believe that it's a fact. So just holding ourselves accountable to where we get our information and what we truly believe, because that's important. This hierarchy of evidence is my entire life. If someone tells me something, or if something happens to one of my patients, I go and research the highest level of evidence, a randomized control trial. A meta-analysis, a systematic review. I pay $600 a year to have access to these articles. And I know it's a lot of money, but I go on these rabbit holes and start researching, and it's just so much fun to be able to dive deeper into the mechanisms behind these recovery methods. So I can tell you all this stuff, but just Sue Falsone always tells me this too, do your own research. So I can tell you till you're blue in the face or till I'm blue in the face, but do your own research so that you can understand for yourself. And then to show you how research is changing, and research is so limited, this is such a great story. So this is my client, James. He was in a car accident. They thought he was going to die. So he was rear-ended by a bus. And so he broke his pelvis. They thought he was going to die. So they sewed him back up, and his legs were different sizes. So his hips were completely off, but he survived, and he was completely paralyzed. So he was a quadriplegic for about 2 years, and then he got feeling back in his hands. But this accident happened in 2001, and we did vibration therapy. Like, I didn't know. I told him, I'm like, I don't know what we're doing. I'm like, but you can't mess anything else up. I'm like, you can't feel your legs. So what the heck, let's do it. And he was so happy that I treated him like a human, that he was willing to do whatever it took, whatever I said, so that he can get better, because he had hope. And that hope changed his nervous system, which changed how his nervous system functioned. So I took him on the power plate. We did myofascial release. We did balance work. I had to hold him up. He couldn't walk. He had complete foot drop. So he had to wear braces around his legs so that his foot wouldn't drop. So he couldn't wear regular shoes. He was in a wheelchair, and he could not walk on his own. So after all this stuff, we did myofascial release, we did the vibration. I figured, getting the nerves to send signals and maybe neuroplasticity so that the muscles can wake up. He texted me, and I said, just imagine that your feet are moving. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, just do it. So we worked together for about 6 months to a year. He texted me, he felt his feet move or his toes move for the first time in 10 years. So the body's unbelievable. You can change so much, and we don't know everything. So just constantly learning and understanding that, okay, if you're not going to hurt someone, try it. Dose, do a little bit of doses here and there, little bit of compression or any kind of vibration therapy. And that by itself is not doing it all. It's everything else that you're doing with it. It's how you treat the person. It's you showing them that you show up every day prepared. You care about their session. You care about them as a person. It's so important. The brain is unbelievable. Look at, he doesn't have to wear, he doesn't have to wear braces anymore, and he can walk on his own. So it's important, care about people. And then don't forget the basics. So this is my main stressor. Like I said, with my athletes that want to go do cryo and do the fish feet and all this stuff, I'm like, do the basics. So think about nutrition. Think about, did they fuel their body? Did they get enough nutrition? When you're exercising them, what are you doing for the intensity, the mode of the exercise? What variables do you need to change based on the environment and what's happening? These are all parts of recovery. So recovery is not just, going to the sauna or going to the hot tub. This is recovery. This is getting your body back to homeostasis, back to that internal stable environment. So I love this picture, but some of the nutrition that you can add in that could possibly help your patients that I've learned and dealt a lot with is cherry juice helps, ginger helps with inflammation. So it helps with muscle recovery. There's actually a lot of research on promoting muscle repair. And just, again, if you're not fueling your body, you're going to regress in training. So if you think that you can just keep pushing them, it's not going to work. They're going to regress, and they can regress cognitively and physically. And then sleep loss, again, can change neuroplasticity. It can change synaptic plasticity. So that's what was happening with that gentleman that was paralyzed. His body was reaching out, neuroplasticity. He was reaching out and turning on muscles, waking up those muscles by firing the brain to those nerves. So it's not that he lost it. It just, the body temporarily got rid of it. And to get feeling back after 10 years, it's unbelievable. So if you stimulate the nervous system, the possibilities are endless. So again, just doing it in a controlled, safe manner. You don't want to, implement things where the person's going to get hurt or die, like, medications. And again, you go to doctors, and the medications are the number one thing they give. They don't talk about exercise. They don't talk about sleep or hydration. It's just, here's some pain medicine. And then people turn into drug addicts. So it's unbelievable to me that time and time again, I see it over and over, and people are like, I don't want to take pills when my doctor says that I have to. You educate your clients, educate your patients so that they know they don't have to. There's so many other variables that you should be controlling first. The basics are so important. If you're not hydrating, if you're not sleeping, what is the point? You should not add in the extremes if you haven't even taken care of the basics. And another thing is hydration. I love telling people this because they don't understand that hydration is not just water. Hydration is also the electrolytes. So research states after 90 minutes or more of sweating, if you drink water, you're dehydrating yourself more. So you're diluting your electrolytes that you do have, which is diluting you down and making you more dehydrated. So getting a drink, and I know sugary drinks aren't great, but a Gatorade is better than water after 90 minutes or more. So getting something where you're replenishing those electrolytes so that your body can get back to that internal homeostasis, that internal stable state. So just keep pushing it, and you're just setting yourself up for failure. And then supplementation. Do you even need them? I always stress this. People are like, should I supplement? Should I get this? Should I take this or take that? Do you need it? How do you even know? Get your blood work done. Look at your panel of blood work. Understand where your numbers are. If you start supplementing and things start changing, correlate that and understand maybe I shouldn't take this much. For instance, vitamin C, an overdose or too much excessive vitamin C is linked to kidney stone formation. So, especially now, everyone's crazy with the vitamin C and the zinc. Just be careful. More is not always better. So you want to just understand the processes and what's going on, and then understand where you should be in order to be successful for you and for your patients and clients. And then one huge thing, and this is one of my basics also, is movement. So moving is so important to the nervous system. Understanding motor control and neuroplasticity and just that mind-body connection. You use it or lose it is a real thing. So if your brain does not fire down a circuit, it shuts that circuit off because it's like, oh, they don't use it. And that's why as we age, in the Alzheimer's ward, I'm like, oh my gosh, the balance is horrible. People would fall left and right. Why are we letting that happen? And if you look at statistics, we lose our balance fibers as we age, but we don't have to. So why aren't we training that? So for your older patients or for your older clients, make sure to get motor control and just coordination and balance movements coordinated into your programs, because that's going to help them. Again, it's not about your goals. It's about the goals of your patients and clients. Where do they want to be in their lives? What's going to make them happy and get them to the next step? Because that's what you want. That's what you're working towards. Their goals, not your goals. But your goals are also important. But it's about their goals. But before I go to compression, let's go back to motor control. So the fascia is connected into the nervous system. So which is connected to your limbic system, it dictates emotion. So if you're emotional, if you're stressed, or if you're sad or happy, that affects how you move. And if you're not moving, that affects how you feel. So everything with the body's made to move. We're human beings, we're supposed to move. It's so important. But we live in this sedentary world where I make fun of everyone. I always say we're so fat as a society, we have to make gyms to go move. Like, I gotta go make a place so I can go move. We should be moving all the time. We should be doing stuff every day. Take the stairs. Your fascia, your brain, your nervous system will love you for it, because that's how you stay functional. If you ever feel cloudy or like you can't think, or you're so stressed you can't even think of an idea, maybe get back to the basics and you can change that. It's not always what's the next thing I have to take or the next pill I have to take. It's not about that. Check your basics first. That's the most important thing always. Check your basics. If your basics are good, then all right, we'll decide what to do from there. But always check your basics first. That's your recovery. Recovery is not always these crazy mechanisms. It's the basics. So motor control. And the more that your brain fires, so and I always call it baby giraffe. You ever do motor control with people and they start shaking? That's because that nerve it's not efficient. So your brain is supposed to be a reflex loop where it loops and it just keeps going. Well, this is like, I think it's this. And that's why it shakes. It's not efficient. So training your brain how to control your body, you can create the ultimate superhuman. I always tell everyone, be a ballerina ninja, because I'm mobile like a yoga person, and I can lift 300 pounds. And you can do so much if you create a solid foundation to start. You don't worry about a solid foundation after. You start with a solid foundation and you build on that foundation. You're not going to build a house on crappy wood. Everything is just going to collapse. And that's whether it's physical, psychological, emotional, it's going to come out and be expressed however their body expresses it. And so other things that I like to implement, CEP, compression. I'm passionate about this brand because I really care. Their parent company is Medi. They really care, and I really care about them. But their parent company is Medi, and they are the only people that I have found, the only company that I've found to use real science behind compression. 2XU, come at me. BS. I tell all my Major League Baseball guys, they're like, no, 2XU. No. So why it's different is CEP uses 20 to 30 millimeters of mercury. That's 20 to 30 millimeters of mercury of pressure. That's what the body needs. That's the randomized controlled researched amount to stimulate healing and actually bring about getting rid of the swelling and bring about 30% more oxygen to the tissue before, during, and after exercise. So 30% more oxygen. Plus, with the millimeters of mercury that they use, that prevents 90% of blood clots on the airplane. So again, I was traveling every single weekend. 90% of blood clots it prevents. That's 1 in 3 people. Why? Every single one of my athletes was wearing these. So whether it's the socks, they have pants. I did a marathon, my first marathon, I wore the pants. I woke up the next day, I was fine. I couldn't move after my marathon. I never ran a marathon before. I did it for charity. I didn't train well. And so I could not move, but I put those pants on. I woke up and I was like, I can't believe I can move. So it's just taking the science. And if, some of the companies are starting to catch on and use the 20 to 30 millimeters of mercury, but they're not measuring the circumference of the person's body. If they don't measure your leg, or if they're not telling you to measure your leg, I don't care if they're using the 20 to 30 millimeters of mercury, it's not real science, because that pressure is going to change based on the size of the person's leg. So don't just use things that seem cool, or they're the popular brand. I'm in LA right now, and I came here from North Carolina. There's a lot of things that seem like they're the right thing to do, but it's all BS. It's all perception. People and marketing people they're very good at making it look like it works. We're not like that. We need to know if it really works. We need to test things out and understand why it's such a good brand, because these little things, these little factors can change someone's life. And then stretching. So there's a lot of controversy around stretching. It drives me crazy. When I was in NASCAR, I had one of the physical therapists yell at me because I was doing dynamic stretching before performance, and he's like, "You're an idiot." And I'm like, "Well, you obviously haven't read anything in the past 15 years, because now it's research that stretching and holding stretching for 60 seconds or more before performance can actually hinder performance. So it can reduce your strength and reduce your power output. So again, when you're reading this research, look at the variables that they're testing. It's not just an end all be all. It's not like, oh, this doesn't work for everybody. You can stretch before yoga because you don't really need strength and power output in yoga. So think about who you're training, what you're doing, and what they need, and then decide what's right for them. It's so important because it makes sense. It's not an absolute. It's not a one size fits all. Whenever you hear that, oh, that doesn't work for everyone, that's a red flag that, maybe that they don't know exactly what's going on, because it shouldn't be an absolute no. There's always different variables. Another thing that I love that people underestimate, traction. So if you are limited in motion, you're immobile, traction is one of the best things you can do. And I know, not a lot of people, or not everyone can do manual therapy, but you can give them self-myofascial release techniques or self-mobilization techniques. That's totally fine. And if you understand it, then why not give it to them, tell them about it, and tell them, you know, if you want, go talk to a physical therapist. They can teach you how to do it correctly, but here's a physical therapist I trust, and she has this video if you do it like that. Or, you know, have people reach out to physical therapists. You know, I always answer people's messages, or I try to. It's crazy, too many messages, but I try to answer as many as I can. But if you sit there and you just, oh, I totally lost my train of thought. If you forget it. So go, oh yeah. So if you go and someone reaches out to me and I'm like, hey, I'll give you this video so that I can help you, or I'll teach you why this video is the right or wrong way to do, or you send me a video of yourself and I'll tell you what you're doing right or wrong. So with Zoom makes it possible for so much. I do physical therapy with people from all over the world. It's so unbelievable. So I sit there and I watch them move and I assess them. I get their health history. Again, health history is so important. Their factors are so important. And then you decide what they need from there. So people can send me videos. I give them critiques. You can, same thing. You teach your patients and your clients what they need so that they could get better. It's understanding your scope of practice, but then also understanding what you know about the body. And again, if you need help with things, refer out to someone that you trust. Another huge underestimated category for the human body for any physiological process is breathing. Breathing is so important. So if you look at the muscles that inhale versus the muscles that help exhale, your abs are your exhalers, your obliques, your transverse abdominis. Your transverse abdominis is your girdle, what protects your back. So if you're breathing and you're always in your neck, you're not efficient at activating your abdominals. Your abdominals are what protect your back, what protect your neck, your knees, your hips, everything. So if you are not understanding and breathing correctly, then your movement is going to be altered. And your recovery is going to then be altered, and your homeostasis is going to be altered. So just understanding that all of this is important, and stimulating the parasympathetic is also important. So the float tanks, and it's not like, oh, that, you know, those tanks, you got to go in for an hour. All that's doing is having you reduce the amount of stimuli that are around so that your body can get away from the sympathetic and go, and it can actually get back to that homeostasis. Taking away the stimuli, letting your body relax, the sodium in the water, it's so good for you. But breathing while you're in there is even better. So combine some of these things also. You don't want to give someone a ton of things to do, stretch and do this and that and trigger point, and you want to give them something that's efficient. So, you know, using breath as a way to count. So instead of saying, hey, hold this for 30 seconds, take 5 breaths, you know, so that they actually go through the physical part of breathing, taking the cage to go out and then depressing the rib cage to go back in. So giving them those cues so that they're using more than one recovery technique at once. I try to do 2 for 1 so that you're not doing the, you know, spending the whole day recovering. You want to be efficient with recovery. And then meditation and yoga, just like the float tanks, just getting away from the stimuli. Yoga is great for you, great for balance. But again, who are you working with? You have to understand, a lot of my people, when they go through those chaturangas, their bicep tendon is not meant for that. They're not strong enough to do that. So, you know, there's different types of yoga. If you're going to recommend something to someone, know what you're recommending to them. So many of my patients out here go and do this crazy yoga, and it's fast, and they can't even balance on one leg without falling over. Why would you do yoga like that? So again, that's going to take you further away from homeostasis and not let you recover. So I hope I'm getting you to think about recovery in a different way. It's not just, you know, oh, the Normatec boots, or, you know, just one technique. It's everything that you're doing, because that's going to make your brain clear, your mind clear, so that it can make the right decisions when it gets and receives these stimuli. And then trigger point tools. I love trigger point tools. And basically my favorite tool is the Theracane, and then this, the MF myofascial release stick from Perform Better. So it's a little metal bar, and you don't need a lot of pressure. So it's person by person. If you're sitting there cranking down on someone and they're screaming, and you're sitting there like, oh, don't worry, a lot of pressure helps. If their system's hypersensitive and they're stressed out and they have other things going on, your little bit of pressure could feel like a ton of bricks on their leg. So thinking and watching their body language, because I use a lot of pressure. I work with a lot of athletes. Like I'm strong with my bows and elbows. And if I sit and people think if they work on me that they just want to go as hard as they can. And I'm like, that's not it. You have to take their nervous system and their body language into account. What are they doing? Do they walk in and they're sitting there and they're like this, and you know something's on their mind? It's part of our responsibility as fitness professionals to care about what's on their mind, care about what's going on with them, but still care about the session and combine all of them so that you can get them performing better and then back to homeostasis quicker so that they can keep adapting and progressing, instead of just regressing and regressing and regressing because they're so stressed out. Their workout should make them better. It shouldn't make them regress. So myofascial release, again, this was one of the things in school where, you know, my classmates would tell me, oh, massage doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. You're stimulating the nervous system. Obviously the nervous system is heightened. Something's going on where you're holding something down, whether it's injury or just stress in general. So stimulate the nervous system, help them go through movement so that your brain can relax those spasms and get rid of that tightness. It might just be a trigger from an emotional state or from you being stressed out, but you going through these motions and stimulating the nervous system externally helps their body understand the stimulus again. And then with ice. So ice is, it's so funny. We were telling everyone ice, ice, ice all the time. And then now research says that ice causes more swelling. So it's not, it causes more swelling and that's it, so don't use it. It causes more swelling when you leave it on for a long period of time. So 15 to 20 minutes is a good time, and then you can take it off. That helps the vasoconstriction, and that'll get the swelling out of the compartment. There's too much swelling in something that causes damage. So it's not that ice is bad. It's just don't leave it on there for 45 minutes. Do 15 to 20 minutes on, and then double the amount of time that you take it off. So say you leave it on for 20 minutes, take it off for at least 40 minutes. And then you can do that all day for the rest of the day, and that'll help you contract the muscles to get rid of swelling. So understand the mechanism behind what you're prescribing to people or what you're recommending to people, just so that you can give them the right thing and don't give them false information. Because it's not that ice is bad, it's just understand that after a certain time, the body's like, hey, this is cold. I'm going to put more blood there and more swelling because I'm trying to warm it up. So again, the body's crazy, but it's so cool. And then dry needling, I'm dry needle certified. I love the needles. Needles are illegal in California, so I can't do it out here, which is really, I don't know, it just drives me crazy. So let's preach needles in California. They're amazing. So it was one of the main tools I use in NASCAR. I had 5 people on the tables at all times, and what I could do with my hands in 45 minutes, a needle does in seconds. So the way it can stimulate the nervous system so quickly, and it goes through every layer of muscle. So it tells the brain, imagine that stimuli, a needle going all the way through your muscles. And then you can actually hook up electrical stim to it. So it's unbelievable to see these techniques that are, you know, controversial, that I've been using for so many years, helping people. So the first thing I did when I graduated was go back to school. And I went to Sue's course to learn how to dry needle, because using these tools and understanding these tools gives you more tools for people. Because people are like, oh, what's your favorite recovery tool? What do you use the most? I don't ever use anything by itself, ever. I'll do the vibration, I'll use the hypervolts, and I'll work on someone first so that they relax their nervous system a little bit. Then I go through my myofascial work. And then at the end, maybe I'll do some cupping with movement. So I haven't found a lot of success with just static cupping, but cupping with movement, where I'll put the cupping on their lumbar spine, their mid-thoracic, and I'll have them go through movement. So, you know, cat-cow or some cobra, or not cobra, child's pose, just to get the muscles to move with the cup on there after my myofascial release, after my vibration therapy, and they're like a different person. So don't tell me that it doesn't work. And then of course we do motor control to stabilize that new motion that we just gained. So if you do all this passive stuff with them and then don't follow it up with motor control and controlling that motion, you're setting them up for failure. And I tell everyone all the time, I'm like, because they're like, I don't want to do the exercises, just do the soft tissue stuff. And I'm like, no, because then I'm just taking your money. I will not see someone like that. It drives me crazy inside. Like it goes against everything that I do. I'm not massage. I don't just like massage you. No, it's not about that. It's about getting better and being better. So if you work out, imagine if you have a maintenance protocol with myofascial work in there and then motor control, you can be an athlete for the rest of your life. I have literally hundreds of people that say, I'm going to go pro again. And I'm like, calm down, because we just let our body accumulate this horrible recovery and this move away from homeostasis. So that's what makes us in this injured state later on in life. We don't have to do that. We don't have to age. We literally can start controlling these variables that we know are going to deteriorate as we age, and then make them better. And again, massage therapy, NSAIDs. A lot of my athletes are very big on NSAIDs. Oh, I'm gonna take anti-inflammatories just in case. And I'm like, okay, first of all, you didn't sleep, you drank beer last night. Like, this is the last thing that you should be, the variable that you should be fixing. So NSAIDs, if you need it, okay. If you need it to sleep, okay. But using it as a way to prevent things, or as a way to get rid of pain that you're not taking care of the issue, that's when it becomes a problem, because chronic use causes GI tract problems. And then cold water immersion, cryotherapy. Again, don't say that it doesn't work for everyone, because cold water immersion is great. It's actually better for endurance athletes, but there's some research that says that it can hinder strength gains. So what are you trying to do with your athlete if it's used chronically? You don't want to do it every single day. So it's not that it just doesn't work or it does work. There's so many variables that you have to think about. So that's what I'm trying to get you to think. Become a critical thinker. Know why you're doing something. Know why it works. There's cryotherapy places everywhere. We had one in NASCAR. We had one at our facility, and the guys use it every day. They swore by it. There's no research on it. But if it's a placebo and they think it's better, it's better. So I told them, I'm like, it's okay. I'm like, if you think it's better, then go ahead and keep doing it. If it's not going to hurt them, then why not? At least they're not taking drugs that have a side effect of death. Do you get what I'm saying? So just becoming a critical thinker, understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it. Not just going along with fads. I'm really big on not being fad. Don't be a sheep. Don't just follow the masses because everyone else is going that way. I'm the loner that goes this way. Like, hey, what's over here? Because you want to explore things. We as a species, we don't understand everything. We don't know everything. So keep learning, keep exploring, keep asking questions. I don't know everything. You don't know everything. So constantly learn. And if you don't understand something, reach out to someone, get a mentor, ask questions, like volunteer. I did so many things as a student, even recently, where I volunteer for free so that I can learn. And not only do I learn things and I become better at communicating with people, but you get these relationships with people that are invaluable. I'm working with people now and have opportunities in companies that I've, from people that I met when I was in grad school or in undergrad. So, 10 years ago, I'm like, it's unbelievable. So remember, even in therapy, in working out, everything, the person or people are your number one. They should be the most important. So it's care about people, have people be your motivators. Don't have money be your motivators. Care about what you're doing and the quality of your work, because that's going to show and that's going to change the outcome of every single situation. I literally was told yesterday, I would drink bone broth with Mel Gibson, and he's like, I've worked with the best of the best. And he's like, I literally feel so much better. And my doctor that I see regularly told me this is the best that you've ever looked, that your spine has ever looked. And he goes, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm working with this little girl. I'm like, yep, that's me. But the thing is, I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm just teaching him about his own body, teaching him about calming down, breathing, so that his system can function correctly. If he doesn't have homeostasis, if his environment internally is not stable, any stimuli coming externally is going to freak him out. And so that happens all the time. Do you ever feel like things are piling up and then one thing comes at you and you like just start crying or you freak out? It's because your system can't take it. The internal environment has been so unstable for so long that one little baby stimuli and you freak out. So just understand that the body works as a whole. Your emotions, the way you interact, how you answer things, how you interpret and perceive things has to do with your internal stable environment. So is your environment stable? Are your clients' environment stable? Do you know? Ask these things. Look at them. Watch their postures. Watch how they interact. Are they snippy? Do they have anxiety and they're always breathing heavy or they're always in their neck? Think about that stuff, because that's so important to understand and to understanding how you and your actions are going to impact their system. So if you want to act like you have the best training in the entire world and work with the top celebrities and work with people that you never thought you'd work with before, just get back to the basics and care about people, understanding the human body and just taking those things into consideration with every aspect of performance. It's so important. Don't just be a sheep. Don't just follow because so-and-so is doing it. What the heck are they doing it for? Is your person the same person that they're working with? Because then you shouldn't be doing it with them unless there's a justified reason to do that. So don't be a sheep. Don't just follow just to follow. Understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and care about the quality of what you do and who you are as a person. There's a lot of things in LA that try to tempt you, and everything's about money and the cars and and it's all about like these products they try to have me market. It doesn't work. I'm like, that's a lie. I'm like, the ingredients in that are garbage. And they're like, but I'll give you a bunch of money. I'm like, what? No, like that's my reputation, that I'm not going to give people that wrong information just because you're giving me money. And I'm talking about high-end celebrities giving me money. And I say, no, like you'll be successful no matter what you do if you lead with quality, if you lead with your heart, if you lead with caring about people as your number one. So think about that. I'm telling you, don't think about money. Think about your success as how you impact this world and how you present yourself to this world. So challenge yourself. Be a better fitness professional. Be a better you. Be better to yourself. Is your homeostasis stable, or are you all over the place? Because if you're all over the place, what do you think your clients are going to be like? It's so important. Care about your environment. Care about what you're doing and how you treat yourself. You cannot fill up someone else's cup if your cup is empty. So care about your time and your recovery and your stable environment as much as other people's. I have a sand thing where I turn over the sand and it drips down, and I don't touch my phone until the sand is done. So it's about an hour and a half. And do stuff like that. I know I schedule way too many people. I schedule so many things and I'm constantly pulling my hair out because I have so much going on. And it's like, I feel myself getting anxiety and having all this stress. And I'm like, okay, back up for a second. Everything as far as your tasks will get better and better and have higher quality if you take a step back, calm yourself down, give yourself some attention, and then proceed with a more stable environment. So think about everything. Homeostasis. Our internal environment affects everything we do, everything we say, every way we think. So care about your body, understand what you're doing, challenge yourself to be better. So that way your clients can be better, your patients can be better. We can live a better world. We can all uncover things together. We don't know anything as a species, so let's just keep learning. I know a lot of times fitness professionals yell at each other and this is wrong, that's wrong, why are you doing this? Oh my gosh, spend that energy learning something or being good to someone else. Don't waste your time. I time people sometimes. I take out my timer and I press start. And I see how long they talk about drama or bad about someone else. And I show it to them. And I was like, that was, 10, 15 minutes. You could have read a book or read a magazine or read anything else with that 15 minutes. Time is invaluable and you won't get that back. So really care about what you're doing and how you're impacting this world, because it's going to change your life. Resources like crazy. Again, I'm Dr. Jena Gatses. I'm based in Los Angeles, California. You guys feel free, keep in touch. I love like-minded individuals. I love people that want to grow and learn more about just their bodies and their minds and their life. So just being better in life and understanding what to do and why to do it. Thank you guys so much for having me. Perform Better Brazil, I appreciate it. And I look forward to coming there for real.
Muito bom, doutora Jena. Com certeza não vai faltar oportunidades para podermos criar o tão sonhado evento presencial e podermos levar todos vocês novamente para um evento que realmente vai fazer a diferença na vida de muitos. Bom, vou agora ler as perguntas. Já estou vendo aqui que estamos começando a ter algumas. Jena, eu preciso que você me envie de volta, por favor, a função de host. E precisa parar o seu screen. Isso, precisa parar o seu compartilhamento de tela, por favor. Acho que perfeito, agora sim. Eu acho, Jena, eu acho que eu ainda não sou o host. Desculpe por isso.
Oh, here we go. My brother helps me.
Perfeito, muito bom. Maravilha. Bom, vamos lá. Uau, as perguntas estão pipocando aqui. Muito bom. Pergunta de Jaime Jatobá. Olá, Jena, bem-vinda mais uma vez ao Perform Better. E que palestra incrível. Parabéns. Como o tema é recuperação, então, dentro da sua experiência, quais são as lesões mais comuns que acometem os atletas?
Most common injuries, basically?
Yeah.
So everything from back pain, knee pain, hip pain, bursitis, but again, everything with the nervous system presents differently. So someone can take an MRI or an X-ray and it can look horrible and they could have symptoms, and someone can have the same X-ray, but their system's not heightened and they don't have any symptoms. So it depends on, I mean, I see injuries from extreme injuries. Like I used to work with the motocross, they would crash, break their sternums and crash their heels. And there's so many different things I've worked with. I've worked with brain degeneration too, but the most common is back pain, knee pain, hip pain.
Perfeito. Pergunta de Rafael Dias. Sobre a utilização do gelo, como seria a abordagem após um trauma esportivo? Por exemplo, uma torção de tornozelo. Tenho lido que o movimento precoce teria uma aceleração na recuperação da lesão em relação ao gelo. Poderia desenvolver um pouco sobre isso?
Yes. So movement with anything, as long as it's not going to further the injury. So make sure that they're not going to tear anything and make sure they had an MRI to where they're cleared. But movement is the best thing. The body needs to move. When someone tells you to rest, I'm sorry, but do movement in a controlled way. If you rest, not only are you not pumping out the swelling, which is going to damage tissues, but you're not getting the nervous system to trigger the muscles down there. So it's basically you're prolonging the injury. So getting someone moving, when someone says, my doctor said, stop doing this, why? You should always try to get the person to keep moving, but you have to do it in a controlled way. I've had professional athletes where they're like, you'll never run again, you'll never do this. It's not about, again, the absolutes. What are the steps that are going to get you to get them back? So with that, I would ice on and off and get them to move. But again, don't leave it on for long because I guarantee there's swelling. So you don't want to cause more swelling, but getting them to move, getting compression socks on them, all of those little things are going to help them get that swelling gone, which is going to give them more motion because that compartment's not supposed to hold that much fluid. So movement is key.
Perfeito. Pergunta de Michele Fernandes. Para uma melhor recuperação, a técnica de movimento precisa ser usada imediatamente após a técnica de terapia manual? Ou posso dividir uma e outra entre as sessões de treino?
The only thing that I will say has to happen right after manual therapy is a corrective exercise. And it doesn't have to be a complete list of exercises. You know, say someone has a lumbar issue and I did some myofascial work on their hips. I'm going to do 1 or 2 exercises to get their brain to fire the muscles around the hips. So that has to happen, because if you loosen someone and then you let them go, all of the forces in their life aren't prepared to handle that because their nervous system has not controlled that new motion. So getting them to fire, the nervous system is fast. When you do motor control, it's fast. So you sit there, you fire a couple times, and it automatically wakes up that track and it starts to kick in and work again. But you can, with the other stuff, you can definitely split up anything. And again, it's about the person. I'm not going to give someone something and know it's going to cause stress if they're already stressed out. So just say, hey, do this if you can. Otherwise, don't do it if it's going to stress you out or if you don't have time. Because then you're going to give them more anxiety, more stress. They'll be thinking about it every day or all day long, and it makes them regress.
Perfeito. Pergunta de Michele Fernandes. Para uma mulher... Para uma melhor recuperação, a técnica de movimento. Muito obrigado pela excelente aula, Jena. A relação recuperação e drogas anabolizantes é performance? Outra dúvida, alongamentos dinâmicos são eficazes para ganhos de amplitude?
Yes, definitely. You're basically lubing up the fascia. You're lubing up your joints. Look, think of it like a robot. You know, if it's not moving with lube, then everything's stiff. Dynamic warm-up is one of the best things you can do. If you're doing squats, think about what joints are moving, what joints will be moving in squats, and then dynamically warm up those movements. Get the joint to go through the movements without load so that your brain has a chance to understand, okay, we're doing this right now. We're going to go through this movement. Then you can add load or add intensity depending on what you're doing with your person, but always dynamically warm up.
Perfeito. Pergunta de Lúcio Heberster. Olá, Jena. Se durante o treino nosso cliente, nosso aluno, sentir algum desconforto muscular, é indicado usar técnica de liberação miofacial? E parabéns pela excelente aula e obrigado por compartilhar seu conhecimento conosco.
Thank you. It's all about your scope of practice. So if they feel discomfort, you should be learning about how their movement is. Take them through movement assessments, see what's going on with their body. If they say there's pain right there, it's not always right there. I always look at the joints above the pain and below the pain and the joint at the pain. So thinking about it as a global effect so that you're impacting the person's movement, you're not just thinking about their symptom. Because think about referral pain. So if the nerve is pinched on by a trigger point, or if anything is neural, that referral pattern, even with organ issues, the referral pain could be in the shoulder. So it's not always about where the pain is. Look at their movement, assess their posture. Are they standing like this? All of those little things, I'm telling you, take pictures. You see the ladder I have. I take pictures of people in front of it so that I can see, are they level? Just understanding, again, the basics, because that's going to help you decide what to do. And you can do that, but then again, if you do myofascial release, have them control that new motion. Because whatever was locked down, their nervous system was holding it for a reason. What is that reason? Did they step off a curb and it just, locked down real quick? Or is there something going on that's, an injury producing or, developing? So think about everything like that. Again, I tell everyone, working with the body is like CSI. It's like a game. You put all the pieces together and it tells you, it tells you what's wrong. And then you just modify the dose based on what they present with the next time they come in, and you follow up with them the next day, tell them to call you in case anything changes, stay in contact with people.
Perfeito. Pergunta de Michel Fagundes. Dina, muito obrigado por compartilhar um pouco de seu conhecimento conosco. Como convencer alunos que exageram nos treinos de que a recuperação é extremamente importante? Eu tento falar e mostrar evidências sempre, mas mesmo assim eles insistem em achar que quanto mais, melhor.
Oh yes, I love it. So I used to tell my professional athletes, because they're like, no, I'm doing this. And I'm like, oh, next time I'll give you my grad school money and then I'll just go to school at your house. So just with people like that are stubborn, sometimes it's not about they know the evidence. They know what's right or wrong. Those are like the people that smoke outside when they see the no smoking commercials. It's about, maybe you have to challenge their personality. So giving them a little bit back where you say, no, I'm authority. Like, I know what I'm doing and you're wrong. Because sometimes people like that are always in charge, they need someone to come in and say, hey, no, because they're always making all the decisions. And so they want to do what they want to do. But when an expert comes in, you tell them like it is and say, and then when it happens and they get hurt, you're like, oh, what happened? You know, make sure that they understand, because you point those little things out to them and you make them accountable. It's unbelievable. Nothing's ever your fault, you know, because they skip things and it's always your fault. Always, you know, they agree to it. Oh, we're not going to work out today. I'm busy. And then when they're fat, they yell at you. So always just think about challenging them and making sure that they see what you see, because it's not about the education. People don't understand what we understand. I try to educate people. They look at me like I'm crazy. So it's about just, when they don't understand it, it's not about giving them facts that they don't understand. Just give them the way they do understand. And that's that banter and that, you know, like, you're in charge. This is your time. You're the expert.
Pergunta de Rogéria Dias dos Santos. Parabéns pela palestra e obrigada por compartilhar conosco um pouco de seu vasto conhecimento. Qual a sua abordagem inicial com um paciente que chega com um grau agudo de dor após uma avaliação?
Right away, same thing. Everything that I do is the same. You assess them and you decide what you're going to do. The level of intensity changes. So, you know, there's some people that I have that they can't even move around in the bed. Even the assessment. They can't. The one guy yesterday, he was trying to go to do, he was deadlifting 300 pounds. Now he can't walk. So I go to have him touch his toes. You know, if he goes to touch his toes, he's going to be in so much pain. So instead of going through and trying to get your objective measures, think about the person. They're in pain. Maybe all you do is sit supine and you have them rock their legs side to side. Or I did myofascial release, but I use it in a way that wasn't intense. And then I watched him respond every single pressure that I changed. You always watch their body language. Sometimes a lot of the guys are like, no, I can take it. I have high pain tolerance. All the guys say that, they're all babies. No offense, Carlos. And so it's important to understand that just because someone's telling you something doesn't mean that that's true. Watch what their body's trying to tell you. So with that gentleman that I worked with yesterday, he couldn't walk. And so I did some myofascial release. And then he started like telling me things about his life. And I'm like, you know, what's going on? You seem stressed out. Because I walked up and he was like this. He couldn't stand up straight. It looked like it was something emotional too. And he just started crying. And his parents had split up 3 days before. So again, and he got up and he felt like a different person. I talked to him about his parents and I gave him some advice, stuff like that, where someone just thinks that you care about them, because you do care about them. That will help them get better. That's part of recovery. So it's so important.
Muito bom. Pergunta de Guilherme Matos. Você poderia fazer novamente a correlação que fez entre sono, hidratação e suplementação?
Yes. And what did you want to know about it?
Eu acho que você pode explorar um pouquinho essa correlação e falar um pouquinho mais sobre as três áreas. Ele não foi.
So it wasn't.
Só pediu para você desenvolver.
It's not about. It's not about. It's just basically the nutrition, sleep, hydration, and supplementation, which basically is food and getting the right nutrients. If you're not getting enough nutrients in your food, you can supplement. But these are my main pillars, along with movement, that you should be thinking about. Number one, are they doing this? So all of these three plus the nutrition and movement, are they doing that? If they're doing that and it's not working, then you can add in other things. But people, what they do is they're not doing these things, and then they start with the other things, the extreme recovery methods. Start with this. If they're not doing this, I don't care how much they do the recovery, they're never going to recover, because this is the basis of what makes us get back to normal. Sleep is where you heal. If you're not sleeping, your brain is not healing, your muscles aren't healing, you're not absorbing the nutrients from your food. Your gut absorbs everything. If you're not getting this, then it doesn't matter what recovery method you use, it's not going to work. So just making sure that you understand that these are your main things, number one, that you should care about, plus nutrition. And I just put these on a small slide because I wanted to put more pictures with it. So just understanding that, implement and try to change these things first before going in and adding in some crazy different, technique. You'll get so much further. Any technique that you add in after this will be so much better. So much better.
Perfeito. Pergunta de Douglas Nazar. Boa noite, doutora Jena. Obrigado pela apresentação. Gostaria de saber qual a temperatura ideal da água para uma imersão e qual o tempo ideal para o mesmo.
Again, it depends on the person, but I haven't looked this up in so long. So I had the protocol out with my athletes. It was minimum 5 to 10 minutes. And it was, I believe, I don't want to say wrong. I will give you guys the information. I will not speak on it unless I know 100%. And I haven't looked up that data in a long time, so I don't want to say without knowing. But it's like right below or right above freezing. But it's 5 to 10 minutes. And the contrast bath, doing the heat afterwards, is one of the best combinations that you can do, is the cold, the hot. If it's something with swelling, end on cold. If it's something with like a myofascial issue or they're tight, end on the heat. So that contrast bath and the heat cold is so good for you. That facilitates the pumping and gets rid of the swelling, helps you recover faster.
Perfeito. Pergunta de Rodrigo Fernandes. Parabéns pela palestra. Gostaria de saber mais sobre a recuperação com gelo nas competições. Você disse que pode perder a força, mas vimos em competições como CrossFit várias provas no mesmo dia e os atletas utilizando este meio. Pode diminuir o desempenho nas provas?
So, if you listen to what I said, it's if it's used chronically, so if it's used every day. So again, you'll hear people, no, you can't do that or you can't do that. It's dependent. So don't use it every single day. Try to use it on days where the CrossFit workouts are the hardest. It's more strength or something where they're tearing down muscle. So heavier lift days versus days that are more cardio based. That way your system is not shutting down your recovery and your advancement and adaptation.
Pergunta de Fábio Paceto. Caracas, talvez você não entenda essa expressão, mas eu tenho que passar o jeito que foi falado aqui para o povo brasileiro poder entender. Caracas, foi uma aula de vida. Parabéns, Jena. Você utiliza algum formulário de dor e recovery? Qual a fonte?
So depending on my person's personality or if it's me in general, I don't really take a lot of stuff for pain. I'll stab a needle into it. So if I have a headache or a migraine, You know, if I know my system's heightened, I'll needle myself, or I use the Normatec. I use a bunch of different things depending on if it's something that I know is sleep related or sleep deprivation related. I'll go into the float tank, or I'll do something where I get rid of stimuli. Too many stimuli prevent you from healing. So with pain, I really don't take pain medications. I've had surgeries before. I've had my tonsils out and I didn't take the pain medication. I get sick on pain medication. So I cut it in half at first, like the first couple of days after the surgery, but I tried as hard as I could to not use it. So it's all perception. Your fatigue is even perception. So if you can control your mind, you can control everything.
Como você falou no meio ou no início da sua apresentação, que você citou a sulfalsone, sobre fazer a sua própria pesquisa científica, né? Não pesquisa científica, mas coletar dados baseado na sua experiência pessoal, né? Perfeito.
Yes.
Pergunta de Leonardo Oliveira. Sobre compressas de água morna, qual a sua posição? Você utiliza?
Like heat packs?
Yeah, heat packs.
Yep. And like, so I'm very big on, I try to maximize the time that I have with someone, and I'll work with someone one time and never have to see them again. So I try to do things that I know are going to get them better right then and there. So a heat pack, like I'll have them do it at their house. If they have one, I always recommend it. You know, like if it's something with its tension or anything like that, but I'll never spend my session doing that because I would never waste that amount of time on a heat pack unless they're so wound up or their nervous system is so crazy that I have to put a heat pad to calm them down so that I can work other areas and they're not, you know, freaking out on me. So, but not taking time doing passive stuff like that.
Ok. Pergunta de Alexandre Victor. Mesmo depois de 20 anos de cirurgia de LCA, é possível recuperar esse joelho?
As far as like if you've had the surgery, and that's one of the things I work with. People have surgeries. I've worked up to 40 years, made a difference. They're like, I had that surgery 40 years. I couldn't use my strength. That's because the nervous system was like, they're cutting me and I'm going to lock down. So if you don't uncover what the nervous system reacted to in the surgery, like if you don't relax it back down and tell your body, hey, it's safe to let go, then everything stays spasmed down. The nervous system tries to protect you by spasming, but that in turn prevents oxygen from getting to the area, prevents movement, lubrication in the joints. So of course you can, because most of the time when you get surgeries, people don't refer physical therapy. They don't, you know, or physical therapists. I don't take insurance because I would never let an insurance company tell me how long I could work on someone. I do not take insurance because I'll work on someone the whole hour if they need. So it's all based on what the person needs, and the regular physical therapy, they do what insurance will cover. So they never explore beyond that. Once you're, you know, okay in their eyes with the insurance, your goals are met, they say, okay, see you later. But your life is still impacted. So how is that, you know, you're like, I'm not better. Why is this? Because they don't understand. I spent my whole life exploring outside of insurance. So it's just seeing the benefit of what movement can do and what just training the nervous system can do. It's unbelievable. And just like that guy I showed you, I was like, what do we have to lose? You can't feel your legs, so whatever. And he's like, he thought it was the funniest thing. And he's like, you're the first person to treat me like a human. So, and that's how you have to approach every situation. But yeah, you can definitely change. Definitely.
E nesse momento que você contou essa história que foi bem interessante, deu para ver o quanto você realmente se importa com os seus clientes, porque deu para ver o quanto o lado emocional foi mais forte. Não deu para esconder. Pergunta de Leonardo Rodrigues. Olá, Jena, parabéns pelas orientações e dicas. Como trabalhar com alunos que apresentam sintomas de fibromialgias severas? Há algum método para amenizar os sintomas?
So fibromyalgia, if you've researched it, there's not a lot of research on it, and people don't understand it. The medical field doesn't understand it. So people act like the person's crazy. Just imagine what they feel like going to the doctor. They have this pain. They tell them there's nothing there. They go through these steps and steps and steps that cause so much stress, so much anxiety. Then the body starts attacking itself. So that anxiety and all those things that create that, not homeostasis, the environment further away from homeostasis, all of that creates autoimmune problems. So you can get better if you get their environment and their nervous system to come back more towards homeostasis. And so I'm telling you, it's unbelievable what you can do with people. It's so crazy. And it's just caring about the basics. Guarantee that they're a high stress, like anxiety person. They're always, guarantee it. So think about that. Recommend things like slow yoga. Vinyasa yoga is what it's called, where you just sit there and stretch and relax and breathe. It's not, up, down, this, that. It's sometimes to train the nervous system the way you need to. It has to be something like that, where they're breathing and it's easy and they're just going through the movements.
Perfeito. Eu gostaria de ter tempo de poder responder todas as perguntas. Eu vou pegar só mais duas, porque infelizmente não temos como conseguir responder a todos. Peço desculpas aqui por essa situação, mas temos que respeitar o horário. Então, duas perguntas para fechar, Jena. Pergunta de Douglas Tages. Boa noite. Vejo uma bota de compressão na sua casa, Normatec, atrás de você. Quantas vezes por semana você utiliza com os clientes essa bota?
So one of my athletes, I'll let them borrow it. So if they have a fight coming up, or if they're in the phase of their workouts where it's constant intensity, I'll let them use it every day. So like in NASCAR, the guys use it every single day. It's just a recovery mechanism. Your body is supposed to get rid of swelling. That's what the mechanism is behind this. You're using the muscle pump. Instead of flexing your muscle to get rid of the swelling, the boots flex for you. So if they're, through an intensive workout program, or they're the professional cyclists that are cycling all the time, or they're on their feet all day where the blood's constantly going down to their legs, I'll let them use it every single day. And then I also use these for different reasons. I like the shorts because it's like a joint mobilization. So people don't realize that when it squeezes you, have you ever used the shorts before? So they go from here to here, and it squeezes you and it makes you straight. So it's for compression, but if you think about it, you're not in hip flexion for once. So it squeezes your bones, it mobilizes your joints, it helps get rid of all the tightness in your hips because it gets you that flex and then relax, flex, relax. It helps with joint mobilization and compression and swelling. So I love these things.
Perfeito. Última pergunta, infelizmente. Pedro Henrique de Oliveira. Obrigado pela palestra e pelo conhecimento transmitido. Gostaria de saber um pouco das trações que você utiliza. Em que situação você não usa as trações?
So I wouldn't use traction with someone that's unstable. So, women, how they're very mobile. Someone that's mobile, if they have too much motion, or if their joints are stiff, or not, if their joints are loose, like you take their arm and you can see it, or if you take their arm and you see it go out, you don't need that. So you want to use traction to facilitate movement and lubrication within the joint. And if it's something where you're unsure of, best not to do it. I always say risk versus reward. Is the risk going to outweigh the reward? If just like death with those pills. If it's going to hurt them, or it has a chance of hurting them, either use less pressure, or tell them to use less pressure, or don't even do it. You can get the benefit using something else. Even if there's any question, there's no point. You can use another technique and do something else and get the same benefit without the risk.
Perfeito. Jena, As perguntas bombaram, eu não tinha dúvidas de que isso ia acontecer. E o que eu mais gosto é de poder contribuir com esse conhecimento que o brasileiro não tinha noção e hoje eles podem ter mais uma referência no mercado, mais uma pessoa que realmente entende e passa com segurança e com simplicidade e pode contribuir com todos, né? Tenho certeza que o seu Instagram vai bombar, as pessoas vão realmente te consultar. Eu queria que você deixasse
And
umas
questions.
palavras para os brasileiros.
I just want to say thank you. So the fact that you're coming here to learn and educate yourself just shows you're on the right track. You'll never be able to know everything. I never know everything. If you think you know everything, or if you have a coach that thinks they know everything, they don't know anything. And just like with that guy yesterday, him and his doctor, I know through Mel Gibson, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the same person. And he's like, oh, he better be worried about you. And I'm like, no, he wanted my number. We talked on the phone, because any therapist or professional that cares about people and actually knows what they're doing will love other people that love that too. So don't ever push people away. You know, we're a rare breed. We act like there's a lot of people in the fitness industry. There's not. No one wants to exercise in this society that we have. They care more about the eyelashes than BS. So when you find someone that actually cares, it's important to care about them also. We should all be good friends. If you think something I said was wrong, let's talk about it. Let's discover together. Because if research is limited, imagine how limited we all are, you know? So constantly just making sure that you care about other fitness professionals, you reach out to people, and people that push you away, maybe it was for the best, because maybe they aren't as great as you thought they were. You know, if people are busy, I get it, because so many people come at me and I'm like, oh gosh, but busy is different. But if people have time and they're willing to talk to you, they should, you know, because that's what life's about: learning, interaction, talking things out together. No one knows all the answers, and if they think they do, they don't.
Perfeito, perfeito. E você disse isso no início da sua apresentação, né? Você falou que não sabia direito o que estava fazendo, mas tinha que experimentar, tinha que testar, e isso é muito enriquecedor. Jena, muito obrigado pelo seu tempo, muito obrigado pela contribuição, com certeza foi incrível, e eu não tenho dúvidas de que muita gente vai sair daqui com um pouquinho mais de conhecimento dentro da caixola. Obrigado mesmo, muito obrigado, tá bom?
So much. And feel free to reach out. My Instagram, feel free, ask questions. I'm happy to answer. Thank you again.
Muito obrigado. Nós que agradecemos. Obrigado. Pessoal, incrível. Nosso primeiro dia está acabando, mas temos alguns recadinhos. 2 recadinhos sobre amanhã. Iremos começar às 8h30 com a doutora Natália, mas eu vou abrir a sala às 8h. Então você vai ter tempo de poder se preparar, né? Montar sua salinha aí de estudos e poder ter mais um dia longo de estudos. Iremos soltar um questionário. Eu falei que isso era sobre amanhã, né? Mas hoje nós iremos soltar um questionário de avaliação para você nos ajudar a fazer esse processo educacional cada vez melhor. Então, você vai receber em algumas horas um link de um feedback para você nos ajudar, ok? Todas as palestras serão compartilhadas, todas as palestras vão estar legendadas e vocês poderão ter acesso por 2 anos. Tem um vídeo aqui que eu quero passar e esse vídeo é como eu quero fechar esse nosso primeiro dia. Gostaria de agradecer muito a presença de cada um de vocês aqui. Agradecer ao nosso time de tradutores incríveis, Bruno e Aldo. Realmente esse primeiro dia foi maravilhoso e se nós pudermos cada vez mais investir em conhecimento, vocês vão ter cada vez mais um retorno, cada vez mais isso vai voltar para você de forma gigante, tá? Então, vou passar aqui para você esse vídeo. esse vídeo vai demonstrar realmente o que nós queremos passar nesse momento, que é essa questão de estarmos conectados. Não é porque não estamos de forma presencial, mas eu tentei transformar da melhor maneira essa mensagem para que você possa realmente ver o quanto podemos fazer a diferença juntos, sempre juntos, ok? Então eu vou compartilhar o meu screen, minha tela, boto o som alto. Só vai funcionar se esse volume estiver alto, ok? Calma aí. Ok, todo mundo vendo a minha tela. Então, aumenta o volume. E aí? Interessante, né? Esse é o jeito que nós queremos que você finalize essa noite, com essa mensagem de que estamos conectados, estamos juntos e estamos sim fazendo a diferença na educação física brasileira. Muito, muito, muito obrigado pelo tempo de vocês, muito obrigado pela dedicação de vocês e amanhã o dia será longo e será maravilhoso. Muito obrigado, pessoal. Boa noite, bom descanso e até amanhã.